I've been studying gerontology and exercise physiology for nearly 3 decades, and I need to tell you something that contradicts almost everything you've been told about aging. Most people think that once you hit 65, your body is supposed to slow down, weaken, deteriorate. They think every birthday past retirement age is another step toward decline. But that's not what the data shows. That's not what I see when I test people who are actually thriving in their 70s, 80s, 90s. When you look at the right biomarkers, the ones that actually predict longevity and quality of life, you discover something remarkable. Some people in their late 60s have bodies that are functionally younger than people in their early 50s, and it's not because they won the genetic lottery. It's because specific measurable changes are happening in their bodies that signal robust health, not deterioration. Let me tell you about Richard. He came to see me at 68 complaining that his friends were slowing down, but he felt like he was getting stronger. He thought something might be wrong with him. His golf buddies couldn't walk 18 holes anymore without getting exhausted. They'd stopped lifting anything heavy. They complained constantly about joint pain, fatigue, brain fog. But Richard was hiking 10 miles on weekends, lifting weights 3 times a week, sleeping soundly, thinking clearly. He wondered if he was in denial about his age. I tested him. His grip strength was 42 kilograms. His VO2 max, the measure of how efficiently his body uses oxygen during exercise, was 38 milliliters per kilogram per minute. His C-reactive protein, a marker of systemic inflammation, was 0.4 milligrams per liter. His body composition showed he had more muscle mass at 68 than most men have at 40. Richard wasn't in denial. His body was thriving. He was aging chronologically but not biologically. This is the first physical change that signals you're thriving, not declining. You're maintaining or even gaining muscle mass after 65. Most people lose 8% of their muscle mass per decade starting in their 30s. By 70, they've lost a quarter of the muscle they had at 30. But research published by Washington University School of Medicine in November of 2025, using whole-body MRI scans and artificial intelligence, found that people who maintain higher muscle mass relative to body fat have younger biological brain ages. Their brains, measured structurally through imaging, look years younger than their chronological age. More muscle means better metabolic function, better insulin sensitivity, better hormonal balance, better mitochondrial health. Muscle isn't just for moving. It's an endocrine organ that secretes protective compounds throughout your body. When you preserve muscle mass past 65, you're preserving your entire metabolic machinery. I tested a woman named Eleanor who was 73. She'd been strength training consistently for 6 years after retiring from teaching. Her normalized muscle volume on body MRI was in the 85th percentile for her age. Her brain age, calculated by AI analysis of structural brain scans, was 62. She was 73 chronologically, but her brain was functioning like someone 11 years younger. She told me she felt sharper now than she did in her 50s when she was stressed, overworked, sleeping poorly, and never exercising. The preservation of her muscle mass had preserved her cognitive function. Her brain had the metabolic support it needed to stay young. The second physical change is that your cardiovascular fitness, specifically your VO2 max, remains high or continues to improve. VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen your body can utilize during intense exercise. It's measured in milliliters of oxygen per kilogram of body weight per minute. It declines naturally with age, dropping about 10% per decade after 30. By 70, most people have lost 50% of the aerobic capacity they had at 20, but a 2025 systematic review of longevity biomarkers found that VO2 max is one of the strongest independent predictors of remaining life expectancy, more predictive than blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood sugar. Each 1-unit increase in VO2 max corresponds to a 9% decrease in all-cause mortality. If you're 65 and your VO2 max is 35 instead of 25, you've cut your risk of dying by roughly 90% compared to someone with the lower number. What does this look like practically? It means you can walk up 3 flights of stairs without getting winded. It means you can hike, bike, swim, dance without your heart rate skyrocketing and your breathing becoming labored. It means your cardiovascular system is delivering oxygen efficiently to every cell in your body, supporting brain function, muscle repair, immune response, detoxification. I tested a man named Thomas who was 71. He'd been cycling 40 miles a week for 15 years. His VO2 max was 36. The average for his age is 22. He wasn't just above average. He was functioning at a level typical of men 20 years younger. And he felt it. He told me he had more energy at 71 than he'd had at 50 when he was sedentary, overweight, and pre-diabetic. But here's what most people don't realize. You can improve VO2 max even if you start training late. Research shows that older adults who begin high-intensity interval training, even in their 70s and 80s, can increase their VO2 max by 15 to 25% within 6 months. It's not fixed. It's not determined by how active you were in your youth. It responds to training at any age. If you're 65 and your VO2 max is low, you're not doomed. You're receiving information. Your cardiovascular system is telling you it needs work, and if you do the work, it will adapt. The third physical change is low systemic inflammation, measurable through biomarkers like C-reactive protein or interleukin-6. As people age, chronic low-grade inflammation increases throughout the body, a process researchers call inflammaging. This persistent inflammation damages tissues, accelerates cellular aging, contributes to cardiovascular disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancer, arthritis. Most people over 65 have elevated inflammatory markers. But people who are thriving have inflammatory profiles that look like people decades younger. A 2025 study examining C-reactive protein levels in older adults found that those with CRP below 1 milligram per liter had significantly better balance, lower fall risk, better cognitive function, and longer life expectancy than those with CRP above 3. This matters because inflammation is modifiable. It responds to exercise, diet, sleep quality, stress management, social connection. I tested a woman named Barbara who was 69. Her CRP was 0.6. She ate a Mediterranean-style diet, slept 7 to 8 hours nightly, practiced yoga and strength training, maintained close friendships, rarely drank alcohol, never smoked. Her inflammatory profile was pristine. She had no chronic pain, no brain fog, no digestive issues, no mood disturbances. Her body wasn't fighting itself. It was functioning as a coordinated system. Compare that to her sister, also 69, who had CRP of 4.2. The sister had joint pain, poor sleep, anxiety, frequent infections, low energy. Same genetics. Different lifestyle choices. Different inflammatory state. Different quality of life. When your inflammatory markers stay low past 65, it means your immune system is balanced, your gut microbiome is healthy, your cellular repair mechanisms are working, your tissues aren't being chronically damaged by oxidative stress. You're not just living longer, you're living without the suffering that most people assume is inevitable with age. The fourth physical change is metabolic flexibility, which is your body's ability to efficiently switch between burning carbohydrates and burning fat for fuel depending on what's available and what you're doing. Young, healthy people have excellent metabolic flexibility. They can go hours without eating and maintain stable energy because their bodies seamlessly transition to burning stored fat. They can eat a carbohydrate-rich meal and efficiently store or use that energy without their blood sugar spiking dangerously. But most people lose metabolic flexibility as they age. Their bodies become rigid, stuck in sugar-burning mode, unable to access fat stores efficiently. This leads to insulin resistance, weight gain, energy crashes, increased diabetes risk, accelerated aging. People who thrive past 65 maintain metabolic flexibility. They can fast for 12 to 16 hours overnight without feeling shaky or exhausted. They don't experience dramatic energy swings throughout the day. They maintain stable body weight without constant hunger. Their fasting glucose stays below 100. Their hemoglobin A1C stays below 5.7, Their triglycerides stay below 150. Their bodies are metabolically young. I tested a man named David who was 74. He practiced time-restricted eating, consuming all his food within an 8-hour window each day. He did 2 45-minute resistance training sessions weekly and walked daily. His fasting glucose was 87. His A1C was 5.2. His triglycerides were 98. He had the metabolic profile of a healthy 30-year-old. He told me he felt mentally sharp all day, never experienced the afternoon crash his friends complained about, slept deeply, woke refreshed. Research published in 2025 examining metabolic flexibility and longevity found that interventions improving insulin sensitivity and fat oxidation capacity extend health span and reduce risk of age-related diseases. When your metabolism stays flexible past 65, your cells have access to clean, efficient energy. Your mitochondria, the power plants inside every cell, function optimally. Your brain gets the fuel it needs. Your muscles recover from activity. Your immune system operates effectively. Metabolic flexibility is a master regulator of how well you age. The fifth physical change, and perhaps the most overlooked, is sleep quality that remains restorative. Most people assume that poor sleep is just part of getting older. They think waking up multiple times per night, sleeping fewer hours, feeling unrefreshed in the morning, needing naps during the day are normal at 70. They're common, but they're not normal in people who are thriving. Research published in The Lancet in September 2025 found that poor sleep quality accelerates brain aging. People with fragmented sleep, insufficient deep sleep, or sleep durations consistently below 6 or above 9 hours had biological brain ages significantly older than their chronological ages. Poor sleep disrupts the glymphatic system, the brain's waste clearance mechanism that operates primarily during deep sleep. When you don't sleep well, metabolic waste products accumulate in brain tissue, contributing to cognitive decline and increased dementia risk. But people who maintain high-quality sleep past 65 preserve cognitive function, emotional regulation, immune competence, and physical recovery capacity. I tested a woman named Helen who was 77. She slept 7 hours nightly, fell asleep within 15 minutes, woke once or not at all during the night, felt refreshed upon waking. Her sleep efficiency, the percentage of time in bed actually spent sleeping, was 92%. Most people her age have sleep efficiency below 75%. She prioritized sleep hygiene, cool, dark, quiet bedroom, consistent sleep schedule, no screens for 2 hours before bed, daily morning sunlight exposure, regular exercise but not close to bedtime. Her commitment to sleep quality was paying dividends in every other area of health. Her cognitive testing showed memory and processing speed equivalent to people 15 years younger. When I see someone over 65 maintaining these 5 physical changes, maintaining muscle mass, high VO2 max, low inflammation, metabolic flexibility, and restorative sleep, I know I'm looking at someone who will likely outlive their peers by years, possibly decades, and do so with vastly better quality of life. These aren't subtle differences. These are people hiking mountains at 75 while their friends can't climb stairs. These are people with sharp minds at 85 while their peers are experiencing dementia. These are people living independently, driving, traveling, contributing, enjoying life at 90 while others have been in nursing facilities for a decade. The beautiful and frustrating reality is that none of these changes are determined primarily by genetics. Studies of twins show that only about 25% of longevity is heritable. The other 75% is determined by lifestyle choices, environmental factors, behaviors that are within your control. You cannot control your birth year, but you can control whether you lift heavy things regularly to maintain muscle mass. You can control whether you do cardiovascular training intense enough to preserve or improve VO2 max. You can control what you eat, how you sleep, how you manage stress, all of which influence inflammation. You can control your eating patterns and exercise habits, which determine metabolic flexibility. You can control your sleep environment and behaviors, which determine sleep quality. Richard, Eleanor, Thomas, Barbara, David, Helen. These aren't genetic outliers. These aren't people who were elite athletes in their youth. These are ordinary people who made deliberate, consistent choices about how they treated their bodies after 65. They didn't accept decline as inevitable. They tested themselves. They measured their biomarkers. They saw where they were falling short, and they intervened. Eleanor started strength training at 67. Thomas took up cycling at 56. Barbara changed her diet and sleep habits at 62. It's never too early to start, but more importantly, it's never too late. If you're over 65 and experiencing these 5 changes, maintaining muscle, high aerobic capacity, low inflammation, metabolic flexibility, and good sleep, congratulations. Your body is defying statistical norms. You're thriving, but if you're not experiencing them, you're receiving data. Your body is telling you where the vulnerabilities are. And unlike most aspects of aging that feel beyond your control, these 5 markers respond to intervention. You can build muscle at 70. You can improve cardiovascular fitness at 75. You can reduce inflammation at 80. You can restore metabolic flexibility at any age. You can improve sleep quality with the right habits. The question isn't whether your body has changed since you were 40. It has. The question is which direction it's changing. Toward frailty or toward resilience? Toward dependence or toward continued independence? Toward suffering or toward vitality? Most people drift toward decline because they assume it's inevitable. The people who thrive are the ones who recognize that aging is not a passive process. It's a series of daily decisions that either accelerate or decelerate biological aging. Your chronological age is fixed, your biological age is negotiable.